So here we are, back in the spot where it all started many months ago. Last time I was here, I pretty much outlined on this very spot how I was gonna tackle my comic book. And now we're back here again, and we have to do the same thing. Unforeseen events, perhaps. Forgive my voice. It's been like this for a while now. But I thought I'd give you a quick update from the sun about where we're at. So here goes. So what's been happening in the last couple of weeks? Well, on the one hand, I decided to climb a ladder. So I had some opportunities at work which involved me climbing the ladder. Climbing the ladder, of course, means a little bit more money, which makes everything a little bit more stable on the home front. But then there were some unforeseen events. On the one hand, this meant working 50 to 60 hours a week, both on the job and outside of work, working on the job. It got very intense. What do? I help run a restaurant, and the restaurant's not doing too great, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done. At some point, this got out of hand, and I end up working so much that I end up having no time off whatsoever for anything. But as my bank account was filling up, for the first time in a while, saving up a bit of money, the Dutch government decided to come and take it away. Student loan, of course I owe the money, but having lived abroad for over 13 years, they've been looking for me since 2009, and I had no idea. It's my bad, but it came at an unfortunate time. It took me about 3 months to get this sorted out and to figure out just how much money I owe. It was all very confusing. I had to go online, I had to get a digital ID, go to Paris, do all this stuff, to set myself up for being able to pay back that. So this made me very anxious because for the first time I managed to save up a couple of grand, and then all of a sudden that was gone. And of course I was not very happy about this. And the next thing you know, the landlady calls and decides to sell the house. So that was good. And there were some unforeseen events at work, which I'll draw out here. So, let's say this is a restaurant. You got your people working on the floor. You got a kitchen. You got some retail, marketing people. And you've got the typical hierarchy of a GM and an AGM and some other managers, and human resources and marketing. You got a kitchen manager running this part. These guys help run this part. There's that part, retail. You know, it's kind of how it's set up. I am in charge of training, I think. And everything was going well. We had some very interesting plans set up to notch the standards up for a bit and get the staff all energized again, which meant spending an awful lot of time socializing with them. And then the GM gone, AGM gone, human resources gone, kitchen staff decimated, undocumented workers, one of the managers decided to quit, and had some staff quit from here. We had to let go of a bartender. So now all of a sudden, with the kitchen falling apart, we're getting a lot of complaints on the floor, which meant that I was spending way more time just running on the floor and keeping it together on the floor, and getting nothing but verbal abuse on a daily basis, to put it politely. So all of a sudden, the security my job offered was slowly going bye-bye. Because as these people all left, there was a bit of a power vacuum. And in a power vacuum, strong players rise up. There's a lot of politics, and a lot of the fun got sucked out of my job. So my savings are gone, my housing is gone, and my job? Turned out managers who had left before, the rumors they told me about how the company was being run and what its prospects were, turned out they were right. It's not looking that secure, and there's still a lot of work that can be done. But now the question very much becomes, how secure does this make me feel? That I've got a job where we have to work this hard, we're abused this much, there's this much positions we have to fill with however few we are left. And I can only say so much, but security-wise, scratch that one. So for the past couple of weeks, there's been a lot of anxiety building in my little head, in my little world. And so here we are, recovering from a little mental breakdown, to put it politely. I'm completely exhausted. Lost my voice. I'm in Barcelona. I'm back where I started when I first started working on my comic book. And I'm kind of contemplating my future. You know? There's been, as I've recovered and gotten some rest, some friends of mine have reached out, and they've basically created a plan B for me. Because when it comes to the housing, I could just find a new place, of course. I've done it many times. But here's the thing, living in London, this will be the 4th time in about a year and a half I have to move. I like moving, kind of. Keeps your mind awake. But it's the 4th time. London has always been a very expensive city. And right now, it is getting so ridiculously expensive because of the housing market and whatnot, and half of the Middle East wanting to move in and half of Russia wanting to move in, and those people having stupid amounts of money, and it's just ruining everything. Like, everyone is writing about it, you know. It's becoming prohibitively expensive. It was always expensive, but now looking at having to plunk down £1,500 for a deposit for a small room, that's ridiculous, you know. So my savings are supposed to go towards this debt, this student loan thing, and then a deposit. So what am I working for? And I'm not even having fun at work anymore. Like, I had a nice fun job that paid the bills while I worked on my comic book. That just turned into, you know, so if I just put my head down and be grateful for the opportunities I have, the fact that I have a job, for example, and I can find a roof over my head and I can afford to pay all this, I'm looking at a pretty depressing next 6 months, I'd say. And I'm really not happy about it. So my friends here have put together a plan B, and they basically offered me a place to stay here in Barcelona. So obviously I started doing the math. Like, I have X amount of money, the debt is this big. What if I can't find work here? Spain is not doing too well. And in 2008, I had a pretty rough time trying to find work at the start of the crisis. Now, they are coming out of that, but let's say I can't find work for 3 months. Like, can I cover that? So I got in touch with the Dutch government and the institution for the student financing and all that stuff. And we basically refinanced my debt. And so I can pay back a certain amount a month for the next 2 years, which is a sizable amount. But the amount of money I have pretty much already covers what I have to pay off in the next two years. So using that as my own credit, I can afford to take the next couple of months off. So I'm debating to take the plunge, quit my job, move to Spain, get back to working on the comic book, and find a job here over summer. Possibly putting myself in a worse position than I already am. But how exciting is that? It's a lot more exciting than having to work my ass off to save someone's restaurant that has clearly been so mismanaged that I think I have an idea what should be done, but at the same time it's like, what about my comic book? What about what's really important to me and my quality of life? Because having my friends in London send me links to rooms that are the same as the room I'm in right now, which is slightly bigger than a double-sized bed, by the way. And the asking price is £300 more per month. And everywhere I look, I'm looking at paying like £700 in rent for a room. You should see this place. My friends are paying €700. There's 2 of them. This place, I would not ever be able to afford in London. It's a beautiful apartment. It's $350 each. I mean, it's just quality of life, man. It's ridiculous. So that is what I'm thinking about right now. But first, some coffee, more sun, and a trip to the beach.
Uganda is amazing.
Basta, sei castigo.
In Brussels, Vincent's friends were French. And they were so nice, yeah, but for example, when I asked for the Antonio, this huge thing in Brussels, so the lady said, yeah, it's nice. I mean, it's not the Eiffel Tower, but I was like, hello? How can you say that? And then we began speaking about their city, and of course, they think France is the best. France is the best in everything. And they just try to argue that all the time. So they're a little bit annoying.